when an eagle suddenly swooped down and snatched a young boy. Shock and terror overwhelmed his grandparents. However, the reason behind the bird's actions will astonish you. Leon was a man with deep ancestral roots in the stunning mountainous region of Northern America. For generations, his family had thrived in the lush green meadows, amid towering cliffs and the mighty mountains. Leon himself was born there and had spent his life tending to farms and herding various animals. At the time, Leon's son was happily married and eagerly anticipating the arrival of his first child. Leon, too, was brimming with excitement as he was about to become a grandfather for the first time. He looked forward to introducing the newest member of his family to the picturesque landscapes, his beloved flock of sheep, and the joy of tending to and cuddling the fluffy lambs. Perhaps this child would continue the family tradition of living and working in this breathtaking area, just as generations before had done. Lost in his thoughts while watching over his sheep, Leon couldn't help but smile at the prospect of sharing these wonders with his grandchild. However, time had slipped away, and nightfall was approaching. Leon knew it was time to guide the sheep safely back to their pen, as the mountains were home to wolves that posed a threat to his flock. With the help of his son and trusty dog, the trio worked diligently to usher the sheep in the right direction. It was crucial to ensure that every single sheep returned safely, as their livelihood depended on it, especially with a new baby on the way. But one day, Leon yearned for a change from the monotony of his routine. His days had become repetitive, and even his meals were predictable. He had a hankering for hare, a small rabbit-like animal he used to enjoy in his younger years. So, one early morning, he loaded his equipment and embarked on a journey to the foothills of the mountains, where he knew hares and rabbits dwelled. Catching one of them would be a delightful treat, offering a welcome departure from his usual fare. The trek to the foothills would take about half an hour, ensuring he returned before mid-morning to tend to his sheep. The sun was barely up, but the air was already warming. It promised to be another splendid and beautiful day. As he ventured onward, Leon heard an unusual and unfamiliar sound emanating from the base of a cliff. It was a sound that piqued his curiosity, drawing him toward its source. As he approached the cliff's base, Leon's eyes widened at the sight before him. A magnificent, large eagle stood there, its majestic presence marred by evident pain. It seemed to have injured its wing, and the cries it emitted were heart-wrenching. Upon seeing Leon, the eagle attempted to take flight, but it remained grounded. Leon wondered if it had sustained the injury while battling other creatures, though he knew he might never discover the truth. What was clear was that the majestic bird needed his help. With care and compassion, Leon removed his jacket and gently wrapped it around the injured eagle. The bird no longer struggled but instead looked at him, seemingly pleading for assistance. Determined, Leon began the journey back to his home, carrying the heavy and imposing eagle. These birds, he realized, were far larger than they appeared when soaring high in the sky. Upon reaching his house, Leon instructed his son to take the sheep to the fields and tended to the eagle himself. He brought the injured bird into a room, carefully cleaning its wounded wing and treating it with medicine, gauze, and bandages. Leon even offered the eagle some meat, hoping to nourish and restore its strength. After Leon had completed his care for the eagle and ensured its wing was healed, he crafted a perch for the majestic bird and provided it with extra food and water to aid in its recovery. Leon's intention was never to keep the eagle permanently, he simply wanted to ensure the bird was well enough to be released back into the wild. Remarkably, the eagle seemed to understand this and showed great appreciation for the man's efforts. Eventually, the day arrived when the eagle had fully recuperated and was ready for release. On that day, Leon and his family gathered outside to witness the awe-inspiring sight of the beautiful bird taking off and soaring back toward the mountains it had once called home. However, this wasn't the last they saw of the eagle. It would visit their house every few days and even perch in the field next to Leon as he watched over his sheep. An unlikely and heartwarming friendship had blossomed from a simple and kind act. 10 months later, Leon celebrated the arrival of his grandchild, a strong and beautiful boy named Tony, born in the family house. The eagle made a curious visit to meet the newborn, looking intently at the child before squawking and taking flight, circling joyfully in the air. The birth of Tony led to a grand family gathering, attended not only by Leon's immediate family but also by extended relatives who had traveled to meet the new addition to their clan. Amidst the festivities, Leon heard the familiar sound of the eagle's call. The eagle had returned, landing nearby and exhibiting peculiar behavior, chirping and flapping its wings sporadically. Concerned and curious about its intentions, Leon fetched Tony and returned outside, only to witness the eagle abruptly take off with the baby, grabbing him by his tiny shoulders. Shocked and paralyzed, Leon watched in disbelief as the eagle carried Tony away. Panicked and alarmed, Leon shouted for help, and the entire family rushed outside in pursuit of the eagle, fearing the worst. They were terrified that the bird might drop the child, with potentially catastrophic consequences. However, after just a minute of frantic chasing, a thunderous rumble emanated from behind them, and they turned to see their house being struck by an avalanche of massive boulders. The entire family watched in speechless horror as their home was demolished by the falling boulders. In that moment of dread and helplessness, the eagle returned, gently lowering Tony to the ground and hopping back a few feet. Tony's relieved parents rushed to retrieve their child, ensuring he was unharmed. As the family tended to the baby, bewildered and grateful, Leon approached the eagle, overwhelmed with gratitude. Somehow, the eagle had known about the impending landslide and had taken action to save the child. Leon couldn't find words to express his thanks to the bird. Perhaps this was the eagle's way of repaying Leon for his earlier kindness. He may never fully understand the bird's motives, but he knew that it had saved not only Tony's life but the lives of their entire family. Now, the story is in your hands. What are your thoughts on this incredible and heart-pounding tale? How would you have reacted if you had witnessed an eagle perform such an unlikely and heroic act?